That line that you've heard time and time again. Work hard, you will get success. Work hard, you will be a success. Work hard, you get everything that's coming to you. It's around. See, I know far too many people who have invested their heart, their soul, their energy into their organizations, and they have not got the reward for it. And all it's done is left them annoyed, frustrated. I know people who have worked hard and they have been fired. Most people fail not because of a lack of effort, but because their efforts are misdirected. And that's literally what it comes down to. 80% of your outcomes comes from 20% of your effort by being strategic. Say all that to say, that is what a good 80-20 looks like. Strategy is key. And a lot of times when it comes to hard work, people just focus on that and they have zero time for strategy. Learn to work hard on yourself than you do your job. If you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. That's the most valuable piece of advice that I can give you. Only thing you should be working hard on is yourself. You get that right, levels. On today's episode of Everyday Leadership, I want to talk about one of the biggest lies ever told about success. I am talking about the myth of hard work. That line that you've heard time and time again. Work hard, you will get success. Work hard, you will be a success. Work hard, you get everything that's coming to you. It's around. You were told by your parents to work hard. You were told by your teachers at school to work hard. If you went to university, you went to college, they told you, work hard. They were right to a point. If you got a job, if you had an apprenticeship, what if that looked like for you? The same can apply to you. Work hard. Sports, instruments, again, your coaches would have told you, work hard. And again, I agree, they were right to a point. Hard work is undoubtedly important. Hard work is needed. Hard work is a part, a component of success. It is not all encompassing, which is what is told to you. The higher you go, the more you do, the more you accomplish. Your hard work is diminishing. And that's not what you want. Yet far too many people focus on it. And that's what drove today's podcast. I work with amazing people in the UK, in the US, UAE, Africa, Europe. My organization does some amazing work in some amazing organizations. And the same feedback comes out from other people I'm working with directly, people I'm associated with, in conversations with mentors and mentees, in conversation, both of them, mentors and mentees, in conversations with friends and just random one-offs. You were surprised how many times this whole hard work piece comes up. And I got to the point where I'm just getting pissed off for it. I'm just keeping seeing it over and over again. So I want to talk about it today on today's podcast. But before I do that, I also wrote about it. I wrote an ebook called The Myth of Hard Work. The ebook was specifically created to challenge your current definition of success and hard work, debunk a few corporate myths along the way, and provide you some tools, because I want it to be actionable, that high-performing leaders have used to carve lanes for themselves in their corporate careers, enable them to get recognition, influence, advance their careers based on the work we've done together. So I share some of those testimonies as well. If you want this ebook, it's very short, it's very quick, it's very practical, and I'd love to hear from you. Once you've read it, click on the link below. It's right there. Get it for yourself. But back to today's podcast episode. See, I know far too many people who have invested their heart, their soul, their energy into their organizations. They have worked hard and they have not got the reward for it. And all it's done is left them annoyed, frustrated. I know people who have worked hard and they have been fired because the company is cutting back. So nothing to do with their work, nothing to do with how amazing their feedback has been, their performance has been. We're cutting back. Your job no longer exists. You gotta go. And just like that, they are gone. Far too many people overlook opportunities that they have worked hard for, but they have seen people less qualified, people less talented, people who've worked less than they have, people who have come in later and left earlier. Not that that's necessarily a sign of work, but I'm just saying, than they have done. And these people are just passing them by. And they're annoyed. They're frustrated. Because the problem isn't just about working hard. I heard it somewhere, someone said that most people fail not because of a lack of effort, but because their efforts are misdirected. And that's literally what it comes down to. Your effort is misdirected. I have an economics finance background, so I'm going to bring some principles. One of them that I love applying, Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 80% of your outcomes comes from 20% of your effort. Is that it? It's that simple. 80% of your outcomes comes from 20% of your effort. However, for a lot of people, that is reversed. 80% of your effort leads to 20% of your outcome, and that's where you're going wrong. 80% of your effort you're pouring in, and all you're getting back is 20%. So today, let us fix your Pareto principle. Let us kind of flip that back. I remember when I worked in corporate, and this was the first time this happened to me. I created a role for myself. I remember doing one thing mainly around finance, commercial kind of thing, not that much into the commercial side of things, just the finance side of things. And I was like, why do I keep on doing this? I'll do a bit of my work here, I'll give it to someone else, who now goes in and sells into the customer, then come back and show the customer said to me, then I do it. I was like, this is redundant. This is a waste of time, effort, energy. And actually, I also think that I am good at sales. Now let me just apply this and let me tell you why I thought this. Now, bear in mind, at university, I had founded with 3 of my other friends and ran a sales promotion company. So that's one example. There were a lot of things I did when I was at school, selling sweets and other bits and pieces along the way. And I was like, I am pretty good at selling. I knew how to understand and get to the heart of what people really wanted, not what they were saying, what they really wanted. I was brilliant at asking questions, which is why I'm surprised I'm an exec coach now. Like I said, I've been doing this for way longer than I've been officially doing it. Questions were part of who I am, part of my DNA. So with all of that gave me the confidence. And the reason why I want to mention that is this. There are so many times we question where our talent comes from. We forget about the experiences that we have. We part them to the side and we say, that is not relevant. That is not corporate. That is X. That is Y. But what you are doing is pushing what you are good at, what you have done. You're devaluing it and just focusing on what you don't have. And therefore you feel like you're not good enough. Therefore you feel like you don't have enough. Therefore, those feelings of imposter syndrome, they have a space and a place to play around in your mind, your body, and your soul, and to start to mess around with your mindset. That's what I really want to remind you. I went back to when we were at secondary school and I used to sell sweets. I went back to experiences I had at university and other experiences along the way. My own lived experience, which was different to most people, I leaned on that as my anchor because that's part of who I am. And it gave me that confidence and audacity to be like, I could do this. So I did. So I went into meetings and bit by bit, I just started to take hold of that work and complete the process. And before you know it, I was making way more money than that person was doing for the company. And they then began to notice, because money talks, no about working hard, money talks. Where's that money coming from? Who's doing that? Oh, why is it different? Oh, Shopware's doing that, but that's not Shopware's role. Why is he doing that again? But we don't want to change that because we like the money coming in. So how do we adapt and expand his role to be able to take this on? And then this becomes a pilot, because this might be how we hire going forward. And basically, how do we give him more money? And just like that, before you know it, it took a little while, a couple of conversations, a new role, new team, new responsibilities, more money, all created by being strategic. Say all that to say, that is what a good 80-20 looks like. Strategy is key. And a lot of times when it comes to hard work, people just focus on that and they have zero time for strategy. I've worked with some brilliant minds. These are people who are working for consultancies, for financial services, who are looking after 8 figures, right? A couple $100 million, some of them billions, from a very strategic standpoint. And yet they will do this for clients. They will do this with so much pressure and weight on their shoulders, but doing it for themselves, they still struggle with. You have to apply strategy. That's why I say hard work is not enough, especially the higher up that you go. This podcast, I'm just keeping it real. And this applies to levels across the board. I have worked with VPs, CIOs, CPOs, directors in multiple fields on these topics. So you would think even at those levels, they already know what they're doing. No, this is not patterned like that. This is not about titles. This is not about the position. This is about the person. It's about the individual. And that's why I'm here letting you know hard work does not work. Hard work alone, shall I say, does not work. You have to apply strategy to it. And why that's even more important, and I'm going to lean into my own lived experience. I am a black man. I'm a black person. This applies a lot to people from underrepresented groups for the next portion I'm about to go into. But I want you all to listen to this. The reason why you need to be even more strategic, whether you like it or not, racial bias and discrimination exist. Facts. Just this week, I was doing a talk with Google, and I shared an example. I shared an example of me in my last company that I ran and owned and ran. I was working with an external client. The external client was very rude to one of their own workers. It was a guy from India. And it didn't sit right with me. So I called her out. I was like, why are you being very, very rude and condescending to that person? What she did, rather than admitting fault, was go and complain to her CFO. Her CFO called our CFO and was like, you have been rude and you've been accused of bullying, I can't say the word, bullying this white lady. Can you apologize? And I said, nope, I cannot do that. The customers know what's right. There were 15 of us on this call. Go and do investigation and speak to each and every one of them and then come back to me. They did all of that. They have the receipts. Everyone said that I wasn't bullying her whatsoever. Everyone said that she was the one that was being rude. Those who chose to speak, some people chose to say absolutely nothing. But still, she was still pushing it. And they were like, but she's the customer. So I was like, no, I would happily die on this hill. I will happily leave. I don't have to be there. I was not an employee. I was a consultant. Yes, they were paying me a lot of money, but I was willing to, lose that check, unfortunately, and walk away because they were wrong. Now, what happened? I didn't have to apologize to her. We ended up working together. Why? I made circa $1 billion for that company in the time I was there, consulting for them. I made circa $1 billion for them. So they had to go and check themselves I'd be like, do we really want to lose this person over this, for one? That for me was also the red flag. Like, these people don't have my back like that. And I eventually left anyway. But I'm just saying it as it is. Twice I've told you money talks, right? Twice I've told you money talks. Because that's one of the things I want to talk about being strategic. When you're making moves, is what you're doing linked to your manager, your manager's manager, your manager's manager's goals to help the company make more money? Because when you're doing stuff like that, you get recognized. When you're doing stuff like that, it shines a spotlight on you without you even have to say a word, because they're going to want to know, where's that coming from? Now, you might have some managers who hide that and they take the credit for themselves. It happens, so don't get me wrong, which is why one of the points I want to make is you need to learn to kind of shine a spotlight on yourself. But if I get there, just recognize money talks. That's strategy. How am I doing something that's having an impact on the bottom line? How am I doing something that's going to be recognized by other people because it affects their bonus pot? They couldn't fire me or let me go because I was making a massive impact to their bottom line in that company. I actually externally spoke to that CFO. Again, he really liked me. He knew what I was about. People knew my character. So they knew that this person was wrong and tripping. However, they still lead into that white privilege. So back to the point I was making, spinning back again, bias exists. They knew me, they knew my character, but they still chose to listen to this woman. Despite the evidence there, bias exists. You know, far too many black execs who are dealing with unconscious bias in their workplace. This manifests in performance evaluations. This is in promotion, everyday interactions. And this can easily affect their capabilities and their contributions, leading them to be undervalued compared to their white peers. This is why strategy is key. It ain't about just working 5 times as hard, 10 times as hard. Bias exists. I'm going to call it out. Discrimination exists. It is there, front and center. Far too many people have seen promotions not come about because of discrimination. I've seen people get into roles and they receive way lower compensations, again, because of discrimination. Then there's microaggressions. I just call it aggressions, full stop, that create hostile work environment. That is real. It is there. Hard work ain't going to help you maneuver through all of that. Straight up. Then you get exclusion. There are networks that exist, and there are hidden networks that exist that I've seen black people be excluded from. I'm aware of them because of the work that I do at the level that I operate in. But I've seen black people be excluded. I'm like, why is this person not involved? And it's just a white group. I remember one when I worked in corporate, I only found out about accidentally because someone slipped. I'm like, rah! So you leave us on being like that, and there's a secret place that I didn't ever know anything about whatsoever, and I was never invited. I thought, okay. I didn't want to go after that, but still, I was excluded. I know how that made me feel. But there's a lot of informal networks and social circles within a company that exist, and those spaces play a significant role in your career advancement. However, if you build up good relationships in the right spaces and places with people, it will help you to maneuver. But that's not strategy. That's not hard work. That is strategy. Black executives tend to be held generally across the board underrepresented people. But again, speaking from my experience, black executives, they're held to high standards. There's higher standards that they put on themselves. They're higher standards from the system that puts it on them. And they have higher stress and burnout rates. Because you're just trying to get through that space and place where you feel very lonely, but it's reality. But again, that's why the hard work thing kind of run. Then there's scrutiny and there's doubt. There's field development, assignments. I know programs, leadership development programs that I have been part of where it's just like an all-white team, an all-white group of senior leaders. And I asked, like, what's going on with your black folk? And I speak to someone within the organization, they were like, oh yeah, we're not eligible for that for the next 2 years or 3 years. I'm like, what? Why? It exists. There are fewer development assignments. So you got that. You got insufficient feedback that happens. Check out protective hesitation. I'm not going to go through it right now, but it's basically when people, whether it's across gender, race, other intersectionalities, the feedback is held back from them because that person's basically scared to give it. That's a fundamental. But it happens a lot especially across race. If you're not getting feedback, how do you know what to improve? And before you know you need to improve, you just get that P45 and you're out the door. That's how it works. So how do you navigate all this? Whether you're white, black, brown, pink. I don't care what color it is. I talk about some of this in the book. So again, make sure you get that. But I already alluded to some of this already. Build relationships. Relationships are key. When you form relationships with colleagues, mentors, industry leaders, not just people in your team, across organizations and then across industries, it sets you up. Because that way, if there are things happening in other spaces and places and you have great relationships, they can pull you in and they're like, you don't have to rely on one company. You can go into that other company. You have to rely on your team. You can go into those other spaces. If you need advocates like I had, multiple people could speak up for me and my character. You've built a network across, not just linear. That's smart building relationships. That takes time. That takes effort. That takes strategy. You need to identify the people and some of the different things like that. If you want to find out more, Chestnut Checkers, that's the course I have created to help you really navigate this space. If you want to find out more, sign up for that one. Again, in fact, Neo, as you're looking after this, as you're watching this, delete this part. Like I said, building relationships is major, it is key, it is crucial. Okay? Again, let's delete this part, it's fine. Make your work known. Making your work known is key. And I know people are like, oh my gosh, I don't like to talk about myself. Oh my gosh, I like put my work out there. It feels wrong. It feels strange. Yes, I know all these things. I felt all these things myself. It feels yucky, especially from a cultural perspective. You're told not to do so. You're told not to big up your chest. You're told pride comes before a fall, which it does. But you still need to make yourself visible. You still need to make yourself known to key decision makers. Like I said, money counts. So there are ways of you actually able to signal to people in spaces and places where they can put into stuff. Find out about how you can get involved at presenting at meetings. Depends on your leader. Some of them are great at it, some of them are not. But you can push up yourself and make that happen. You can volunteer from high visibility projects. Now again, I'm not telling you to start putting your time, effort, energy into doing multiple things. Because people can do that and they volunteer to so much stuff and they're not getting paid for it and it doesn't actually make a difference. But there are high visibility projects that exist in a lot of companies. Just find out about them. Find out ways you can get involved. All of these different elements make such a massive difference, but learn to start to become an advocate for yourself. And then that flows into personal branding. If you develop a strong personal brand, people and things will come to you. You'll be surprised. Now, this takes time and effort. So if you just do all your hard work 80%, like I said earlier on, you're not going to have time for this. But you can strategically plan your personal brand to help you show up and show out differently with the organization. Some organizations are very, very different in the way they do things. Some of them like it, some of them don't. So again, you need to know and understand your culture. But when you know and understand your culture, then you know how to bring that personal branding piece into that. You need to be adaptable. You gotta be adaptable. Not one way, not one size fits all. You have to be adaptable. What I mean by that is you're learning new technologies, learning new methodologies. You're learning new ways to make you valuable to your organization. I got that role created for me because I was valuable. I was adaptable. I had my eyes open. I can do multiple things. And I was willing to try. I was one of those guys where rather than ask for permission, I would rather get forgiveness. I was I like to take risks. You don't have to be that way. But there are ways you can still show up and be adaptable, especially nowadays with tech bringing so much more change. If you're that person who knows how to be able to not just write code, but write queries, write chat prompts. That's just YouTube. You can learn all that really, really quickly. Things like that can separate you from the rest. Last but not least, understand power dynamics. If you don't understand power dynamics, man, you set yourself up for a fall. You have to be aware of the connections, aware of the informal networks, and aware of the best ways to be able to move effectively and strategically. All of this I talk about in my program, Chestnut Checkers. It's coming very soon. But these are key. Power dynamics make or break someone in an organization. Not hard work does. Power dynamics. You gotta know this. I am sick and tired of people talking about hard work and complaining. It's not getting them somewhere. I've just broken it down to you. about how to be able to navigate in an organization, in a company, in your field. And I hope you got some stuff out of that. I'm going to end with this quote from good old Jim Rohn. Learn to work hard on yourself than you do your job. If you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. That's the most valuable piece of advice that I can give you. The only thing you should be working hard on is yourself. If you get that right, levels. This has been Everyday Leadership. I will see you all next week.